Thank you so much. Yaseer Abdullahi joins us. He's a writer and, of course, educationist, and he joins us on the program as we look at education, a tool for youth participation in politics and decision making this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing good.
All right. Well, let's take it from where we just saw the People's Democratic Party, PDP. They had their convention just a few days ago, on Sunday, during the weekend. And one of the talking points is the young the national youth leader, talking about the 25-year-old Nigerian there. And most people are saying, well, this is a great development for you. How do you describe that?
I believe it's a great fit because over the years, young people have not been allowed to have the platform to express things how they would like to express it. So having a young person emerge out of nowhere, of course under tutelage from or mentoring from someone, from the adults that the youth normally choose to condemn in most cases. So I believe it's a great fit that a young person can emerge as a leader of some sort now, meaning more to come in the future. Young people will begin to think like leaders now because we have been programmed to think like followers most of the times. We're told you're young, wait till you're older to do some certain things. So I believe this small thing can be bigger in some time to come.
Can we begin sometime to come? All right, let's look at education now. Education is central to development and to the improvement of the lives of young people in Nigeria and, of course, globally. Now, part of it is also to make sure that we have development in our society. In fact, development goals, the Millennium Development Goals also, and of course, the World Program of Action for Youth also implies that, of course, supports this motion. As a writer and, of course, an educationist, how do you describe the level of education in African youths and amongst African youths and Nigeria particularly?
So, firstly, I would like to address it as a writer first. Then, because I see myself more of a writer than an educationist. So, as a writer, with the voice that I have, I don't get to meet everyone to tell how to do some things right. So maybe I would like to convey a new information now. I know the only way I can do it is through my words, through my books. Because, for example, now let's say it's harder to communicate with people that are focused on technology now. There's so much distraction going on.
It's harder to communicate?
No, to focus. Because
you
can communicate, but then if you communicate to someone that isn't focused, you're not achieving what you're trying to do. So as a writer, I feel through stories that we tell, we get to reach people that we'd like to in terms of how they perceive information. So for example, now I write fiction mostly. The general public believes in realistic stuff. So in fiction, you can include realistic things like the young person you call now Mr. Suleiman. You can devise and make a character somewhat like that person in a book. And with the whole scenario would allow a young person growing up to see, okay, look, young people can achieve this, we can go this way and achieve. So you don't have to sit them and tell them, do this, don't do that. Just sneak it into the stories, convince them, and you can motivate them. So that's from the writer's perspective. So now I would like to speak as a people too. So
hold on first. For the writer now, you know this age, this generation, like you rightly said, are more focused on technology now. So how do you actually get them to read these things? Are you bringing to them through technology? Are you bringing to them through the hard copies? Or how exactly do you want it to be?
So here's a very interesting thing. Despite the improvement we've had with technology over the years, survey still says that majority of readers still prefer to have the hard copy. The feel of a paper is much different than actually scrolling through a screen. So we still have readers that go to the bookstore, so you still publish hard copies for those
readers
ones.
that go to libraries.
Yes, even I personally, I'd like to purchase a book. I prefer that than to go download or purchase on my screen. Because I feel like I want to dissociate myself from the technology and the traditional way. So I can reach people, or writers can reach people from the traditional method of publishing, and also through their phones now. They can't escape the phone. For example, if they're on social media, based on how interesting you make the message, you have a following. So if you write and you're doing maybe like a writing tips video, now people watching that writing tip video will want to see who this person is, why are you telling me how to write, what have you written? So through what you have written, I can be motivated to take a step. So yeah, you can use technology as well.
All right, now let's look at the education part of it now. Most people have said it seems as if young Nigerians or young Africans are not educated enough. That's why they're not participating in politics. The level of education in Africa, how do you describe that?
The level of education in Africa, from my perspective, it's quite saddening to see that we have so much gifted minds that excel only outside of Africa. We have many Africans, especially Nigerians, that excel outside. For example, I saw recently Owela's son was part of it was part of a record-breaking surgery with robotics. Yeah. So you see all these things. I feel like if Nigeria as a country is jealous or cares for their people, they would study these people achieving these great feats outside, bring them back home to make a change. So I feel like the level we're at now it's okay, but it could be made better because there is lack of motivation for the teachers and for the students. Because I like to think of education as a two-way street. It's the effort from the person learning and then the effort from the person teaching as well. So the incentive for the person teaching, we have seen teachers aren't paid much and they aren't paid well in the country. So for schools now who tend to for owners of schools tend to think of schools as a means of business to get a profit than to teach kids, they rather hire someone that will take 10,000 naira for salary than actually pay someone that has gone to school and is qualified to get 100,000 maybe. So they think of it more of a business than a cause to better the future of the young ones. So and then concerning the students, well, there is according to the SDG goals we mentioned earlier, there is a bit of a disconnect with the younger ones. Sometimes poverty can prevent someone to approach these things. Because I met someone some years back, he sells clothes. So his main challenge is they're from a broken home and they are poor, but he's very brilliant. He studies mathematics. He's very brilliant. So what he does is he goes to houses to teach kids as a lesson teacher to earn money to go and pay his school fees so he can continue. So if you see the way the whole thing is set up, it's really hard for the ones interested to excel because the ones teaching them aren't doing much because the ones to teach them aren't being allowed to teach them. So
it's a big problem and crisis. All right, just 10.6% of the youth and the range between 15 to 24 definitely in the world are definitely non-literate. Now, according to this research, it also shows in Africa, only in Africa, we have over 12.1% from sub-Saharan Africa, and we have a standing percentage of 29.6%. And let's look at South and West Asia. They are also around 18.5%. But it seems as if the young people are waking up. And part of the question, like what many people, I had conversations with lots of people during the weekend and after the whole convention, and they said, well, it means that the old hashtag NSAS made sense to many political parties. Before, a party like the opposition party used to be the ruling party. The people they give for the youth leaders are always ranging from 40, upward to 50 thereabout. Not close to that 25. Now 25 is probably someone that will be in school and someone that is still trying, or someone that is graduating, a fresh graduate. And for the person to have ventured into politics and active politics at this time, it seems as if youth are ready. But for some reasons, some youth are also being used as hoodlums in the society. So how do we balance this and educate these people correctly?
The main target is education. I feel like with illiteracy, anybody trying to have a dark agenda has an easy access to people that are ignorant to convince. Because the NSAS protest, for example, now, this could not have happened back during the military regime. There's no way you would come to speak. You don't have a voice. So now that we're getting a voice, and the people in power are realizing that we can actually use that voice to topple them over. So they in turn use other means to divide, as many conquerors have done, divide and conquer. So they divide the masses.
Divide and rule.
Yes, yeah. So then they pick out who they can manipulate, and then they carry on. So it's not as hard for them to do that, because they try not to allow education to prosper in that region, for example, now. So I feel like if you give access to education, because if I've gone to school, there's no way you convince me that with my degree I should go and damage something that could risk me getting hurt, or even maybe I'll die, because after I have a certificate that I could use to earn money, start a family, and all the other things. So I feel like they make sure you don't have access to education. That way, anything goes. They can pay you off to do anything. Yeah, you'll be easily manipulated.
Well, education is beyond the four worlds, and definitely many people have reacted to that. Part of the things most people are saying, that education is important in eradicating poverty and hunger in the land. No matter how it is, it's also a way of promoting sustained and inclusive and, of course, equitable economic growth and sustainable development. Increase the efforts towards education, accessibility, quality, and affordability, also centered around what the goals are globally. As a country, Nigeria, a bag of rice is not something you can just smile to the market for a common Nigerian, a common man. It's not something you just want to pick and say, let me just pick a sachet of water like that. You must prepare, because a bag of rice is more than even minimum wage for some people. So it seems as if poverty is a twin with illiteracy. And without education, most people are not part of the structure that can make it happen. We've seen so many young people, diversify even in their own income, and which helps the country as Nigeria now. We've seen some people go into farming. Education also plays a vital role. Are we doing well in involving and, of course, eradicating poverty and making sure that we have a sustained and a sustainable economic growth in this country through education?
So I would add to your point, you said twins, so I think they're triplets.
They're triplets?
Yeah, because there's illiteracy, there's poverty, and then there's hunger. Now, these three combined is basically anarchy. Yeah, because firstly, for someone who does not get to, okay, I'll keep the hunger for last, because that is the most dangerous amongst three. So firstly, for someone who does not have access to education, they can't even begin to think of what they want to be. So they could be anything. Like I said before, you could convince them to be anything. They're free fodder. You can make them into anything. Then on to say literacy, and what's the other one again?
Hunger.
And I want to keep hunger for the last one. The second one.
The literacy.
No, we said literacy.
Okay, it's poverty.
Okay, poverty. Now, poverty leads straight to hunger, because you need money in any sort of form, even if it's not monetary. You need to be able to have that purchasing ability to. It's a form of security, basically. So now, in a society where there's a high literacy rate, and definitely there's a low, there's low employability rate, and then you have people that can't afford things, and then people are hungry. This leads to instant insecurity and anarchy, as I've said before, because there's nothing to do. Even if there was something to do, you don't have a chance to do it. So what else? The common man, according to the whole Darwin theory of evolution, you want to arrive at the top. So basically,
you force your way to the top.
Yeah, you have to. So in a society where you're always at the bottom and you know you can be at the top, whichever means you make. If it's crime, you still want to get there, because everyone wants to be successful. Nobody wants to be in the same place. If you think the crime is the only way, you will go that way. But then if you have morals now, for example, there's morals have a limit as well. Everyone has a breaking point. We're all humans. Some things just aren't working externally, and you feel like you can change them as well, and that's why insecurity is born. So.
The hunger.
Yeah, carry on.
All right. Well, I just want you, because we're going to take a break now. But before we go for the break now, you've studied abroad. You studied outside Nigeria, and you've seen the structure. You've seen the way education is being, prioritized over there, and compared to what we have in this country. You also studied in Nigeria, so compare the two now before we have.
Okay. So first things first. There's one thing that annoys me in this country whenever I'm driving by. So. I keep seeing British schools popping up across the country.
International schools, British schools.
Yeah. It's as if we don't even want to build our curriculum. So you go to countries where, Turkey for example, you have things standardized in Turkish, the airports, everything's labeled in Turkish and everything. I know that our general language is English, but still, I feel like there's a way we can make the curriculum Nigerian too, because you can have our curriculum hasn't been updated since I don't know when. I don't even know when it was created, but I know it's been the same because it feels so outdated. You can go to schools now where I've met personally a computer science student that had never used a computer.
Never seen the
Yes,
computer, even a mouse.
He would write his codes and force himself to memorize. And I feel like the whole fun of programming, for example, is finding out the errors and making it better. So if you have to write it down, you don't even know what the error is, for example, now. So the lecturer would pick whatever they want. Yeah, so
And it evolves too. It doesn't stay in a particular place. Even as programmers, you definitely meet new challenges and you evolve with new ideas and so on. All right, let's take a short break. When we return, we'll continue on the conversation this morning. We are trying as much as possible to focus on education and look at it as a tool for young people to participate and also the part of decision making and policy making in our great country, Nigeria. We'll be back after the break. Stay with us. Don't go away. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, the participation of youth in electoral process is as same thing as important as the participation of youth in national development activities. Election and electoral processes also integral parts and very, very important. They engage in making sure that we have a better and a brighter society, or in fact, a brighter state. You might also call it a country. Well, for some reasons, some people have said it's high time. In fact, many people have said it's high time, quoting the governor of Ondo State, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. He also said that the youth needs to get into power by force, not by protesting or trying to be violent, but you must be involved in decision making in electoral processes. And it seems as if it's a wake-up call for many Nigerians, as we've seen many parties are trying as much as possible to involve the young people in their decision making. Part of those parties are also the YPP, the PDP, and we're also seeing some other parties trying to wake up now. But we're looking at education as a tool for the young ones to participate in politics or policies and decision making in our great country, Nigeria. And I see I have my guest with me is a writer and an educationist. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Abdullahi. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, let's look at, as like I rightly said, a participation of youth in electoral process is very important. You can't move away from that. If you say, let them rule. In fact, some people have said our votes don't count. And some people have said, well, if it is them, it's just a carcass, let them continue. I don't want to put my mouth into this issue of politics. You know, we've heard over and over. But it seems to see the better we put, the earlier we put our mouth, the better for us to make right decisions. For us, for this country, Nigeria, how can the youth be more involved in national development for you? Let me kick it from there.
So personally for me, I feel there's the whole generational illusion that we have as a country. So the older people, the elders, believe, as I said previously, the younger ones aren't ready yet. They always believe they aren't ready yet.
Are they ready?
that's the point I'm getting at now.
Okay.
If they're willing to mentor them the right way, they will be ready. The whole point of you nurturing somebody is to put them in the right path. So if you always assume they're not ready to do anything, you just condemn them without even seeing their capabilities. Because at the end of the day, these things are based on character and competence. Now you don't give them a chance to pick one of the two. You just assume and decide and conclude. So I feel like it's a bit unfair to just make a decision without giving one a chance. So, and for example, now with the times we're in, you can't compare development. The pace of development in other countries, if you look at them, has a lot of involvement with the young people. Now the young people have access to things, to newer things that are going on in the world. The old people believe that the elders believe that what worked before will still work. The young ones believe something can be done better, and that's why there's a term called innovation. Yeah, so I feel
But experience still counts. Does experience count?
it does count. That's where the mentorship comes in now.
Okay.
You're passing on because you're not going to live forever. So put in mind that you won't live forever. So have someone under your wing, build him the way you want to, carve him right, push them out. So as that person being your product, doing the right thing, makes you already be proud. It's the same thing. It's as if it's the same thing as you being there, because he's making you proud. So I feel like we should stop the whole what do you call it? We should remove the difference between the generations and give the younger ones.
There's a big gap.
There is a big gap
between
and it's because of lack of confidence in the young ones. And so give chance to them. They can prove themselves to you people as well, because it's not so hard. It's really not so hard. Just be heard. To be heard is not so hard. Now, doing is the hard part. Saying is the easy part. Yeah.
Well, they say, some people say talk is cheap.
It is.
For some reasons, the older folks do feel that the younger ones just talk.
No action, yes.
No action. But how do they get into the actions now?
You see what happened with action during NSAS. See how they responded.
But the result, is it impressive?
I'd say yes. We have the youth leader now. I feel like the older people have realized this is the new way. I mean, this is at the end of the day, it's still a body that's producing somebody. So it's either produce someone older or someone younger. So the strategy they have used now is approaching the young ones. This is the way for them to still achieve their goal, because that is what the people have been shouting for, and you are providing that for the people. It means you're listening, and if you're listening, you have control. Yeah, so that's the thing. But people forget, you need to get people, you need to be heard to do. Yeah.
All right. Now, but let's talk about security challenges that we've been facing lately in our country, Nigeria. But for some people, they feel that they've said it over and over that it's just lack of knowledge, and of course the high level of illiteracy in our society that has been causing the youth or the young ones to be part of the whole crisis in the society. Don't forget hashtag NCIs. It started well before the hoodlums, according to reports everywhere. Before it was hijacked. And ever since, it seems as if it's not too good to have such things, because we've seen the aftermath of that NSAS protest now. Do you subscribe to the same thought, the school of thoughts that says lack of knowledge and of course the high level of illiteracy in our society has been part of what has been causing security issues? You mentioned something in your speech, but I want you to elaborate more on that.
Okay, so I would refer to what I said earlier before, the triplets, the illiteracy, poverty, and hunger. When these three meet, it's a recipe for disaster. So, as you've said now, there's a high rise in insecurity in the country. Depending on the reason behind it, sometimes there's actually no sensible reason behind it. If you look back,
let me just give some names. We've seen some, Boko Haram. Some names have been mentioned, bandits. In fact, some people said they should also label them terrorists. And it seems as if, for no reason, they're all young ones, the young chaps. If you see the pictures, you see very young, vibrant people that are supposed to add to the society. So is it that they are not educated, or the knowledge is wrong, or they have negative knowledge?
Okay, this is it. So if you have a hungry mind that wants to learn, anything they take in is what they take in. So if the mind is hungry at a particular stage and you don't put in positive knowledge, it's still open for negative knowledge. So if you pump in negative knowledge, they'll take it as it is, because at the end of the day, they don't know what difference between right from wrong. Whatever they take in is what should be done. So I feel like it's unfair to point fingers without looking at other causes like education, for example. Now, I told you earlier that they would seclude, mold, and push out. So I feel like it starts from education. If you teach people what is right from wrong, they're beginning to mold themselves towards that, all the way to approaching the second one now, which is poverty, all the way to approaching how to go about it. Just because you can't make ends meet does not mean you should quickly go for the wrong option. If you can't make ends meet, you can you can go out there, but then now this is the problem. We don't have enough jobs available for people that even want to work to not get into crime. So I feel like the whole thing is saturated, and there's no space for people that want to work. So the ones with the evil intentions tend to move towards crime. Yeah, because
unemployment rate is on a high.
It's on high, and then also sometimes because of we talked about the curriculum of the country, some people are unemployable as well. So.
When you say unemployable, what do you mean? Like
not long ago, I met someone. So she started a small company. Now she had almost everything automated in the company. Now she wants to hire, but they don't know how to use the automated gadgets. So now that's a big problem for her. She needs to take more time to look for more qualified people. So now you see people first class, but because of the kind of first class or kind of path they move through to achieve the first class degree, they don't really have much to offer. Yes, they have first class, good for them, but when it's time to actually put in work.
So it's not actually the grade now that makes you educated or qualified. It's all about really what you can bring out.
It's really not, because even Elon Musk says it's the C grade performers that end up hiring the A grade performers. Why? The A grade performers love to follow instructions. That doesn't mean they know how to do it.
Would that also imply, because I've seen that on some of the social media, some reasons, the footages, I don't think our producer will get it for us, but I saw it on the social media. In 1976, the president was a grade A graduate, while the vice president was a doctor. And recently, we have a president as a secondary school holder, and of course the vice president, professor. So does it mean that education does not qualify you to add value in the society? Is that what you're saying?
To some extent it does, but overall it doesn't. I feel like, for example, now people that own private businesses, some are uneducated, but they have reduced they have reduced unemployment for a great ton of people. So you see, impact is in different forms. Yeah. So you can find some guy in Kano now that has never been to a classroom before, but he knows the workings behind economics, how to run a business, and how to just successful basically. And then you have someone that's gone to school now. He has attempted the business route. Is not working. It looks like what was taught in the class isn't really how it is in reality. So now how to apply yourself becomes a problem, because theory, like I gave you an example with the programmer guy, it's difficult to learn this on paper, and you never got a chance to put it in work outside to just magically do it. It's not possible. Yeah.
Well, I mentioned grade A. My apologies. Is grade 2. Grade 2.
Okay.
That was what I wanted to talk about. Let's look at as we wrap up on the show this morning. We want to focus on well, for some reasons, a lot of people have said part of development must include the women, the young women. In fact, for some reasons also greater focus on universal access to education, quality education, human rights education, and learning is very important, as well as increased access to completion of natural I beg your pardon. It's also important to also have formal and informal and non-formal education practice in our schools. Now, for some reasons, some people have also said that the youth that we're mentioning, when you talk about youth, it seems as if we leave the female out. And don't forget, in Nigeria, we've been clamoring for equality, gender, equality in our country, in our society. For us in this country, Nigeria, are we ready to allow the young women take charge? or the women take charge?
Firstly, as we mentioned before, again, it's all about competence and competence and character. So, gender or whatever, it doesn't really determine what you get to offer. The character
It does not.
it doesn't determine.
Okay.
But because we live in a society where we have grown up to always put the lady in the back seat. Always, it's the guy ahead. Guy ahead. There's a term called the man's world. So we always put the lady at there. So now it has been taught nationwide that it's difficult for people to accept that a lady can do it too, because they forget that historically other ladies have achieved it. Cleopatra ruled a whole empire successfully. Even Queen Amina here did the same thing. Germany, Angela, everything was working perfectly. So I feel like we are scared to have a change.
In fact, that's is also part of the highlights at the PDP's rally, convention, where a lot of people are clamoring, and they've been saying that the inclusion of women in different offices is what we should take as priority. But it seems as if that's another topic.
Yes.
But for you, are we ready?
I believe we are, honestly. If you subscribe to change for the better, you never know. We the guys, the men have always been in charge of a lot of things. We never let the females have a go at it. So we don't even know who does it better. That's how I view it. So I feel like you can experiment. Yeah, it's a free world. If it doesn't work, you remove. There's nothing so serious about it. Trial and error. Trial and error. If it doesn't work, you change.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Before we let you go, you definitely don't want to do politics. You don't want to venture into politics.
No, I don't.
But your friends, have you seen any of them ready for this race? Any political race? So
I believe in that, because I surround myself with people with the same mindset. So writers.
There's nothing stopping a writer to be a politician.
No. Maybe they have hidden agenda, but personally, I wouldn't know, because I don't even discuss that with them. Yeah.
All right. It's been amazing, and of course, wonderful having this great conversation this morning with a writer and, of course, an educationist, someone that is concerned about Nigeria with his own creative works. And we believe that it's been awesome. Don't forget, we're looking at education, a tool for young people or for the youth. For youth involvement in policy and decision making in our great country, Nigeria. And I've been having this conversation with Yaseer Abdullahi. Am I correct with that pronunciation now?
Yaseer
Abdullahi. Yaseer Abdullahi. Thank you so much for being part of the program this morning.
Thank you for
having me.
I do
believe that when we call on you again, you'll be willing to have a conversation with us.
I'm always ready to
I want to pull you into politics anyway. Let's see how that
I hope it works out. I hope it works out.
All right, don't forget that it's your responsibility, like what we say on this beautiful program, that when you play your part, and I play my part, we have a better place called the Federal Republic of Nigeria. On behalf of everyone that's been part of this production today, we say a very big thank you to you. It's a new month and, of course, a new week. Do your beautiful part so that we can have a sane society. My name is Ayobami Adeyemo. Straight Up comes your way every weekday from Mondays to Fridays, 10 to 11. And, of course, a repeat of it on Saturday. God bless you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Goodbye.